Imagine a 20-kiloton nuke, detonating against the Hoover Dam. In a microsecond, the concrete face instantly sublimates into gas. A shockwave of 500 kilopascals slams the structure. Will 6 million tons of concrete survive, or will a wall of water erase history? Let's find out. The Black Canyon of the Colorado River sits in a heavy, prehistoric silence. Broken only by the low, mechanical hum of turbines spinning deep within the rock. Here stands a monument to human defiance against nature. A structure so massive that it actually deformed the crust of the earth when it was first poured. This is the Hoover Dam. It is a curved wall of concrete, rising 221 meters from the canyon floor, holding back the crushing weight of over 35 cubic kilometers of water. For nearly a century, it has withstood the relentless hydrostatic pressure of the Colorado River, the scorching heat of the Nevada desert, and the tectonic trembling of the earth. But today, in this theoretical theater of destruction, we are not testing it against the slow erosion of time. We are pitting it against the instant, blinding violence of the split atom. We are asking a question that chills the blood of structural engineers and civil defense planners alike. What happens when the immovable object meets the ultimate irresistible force? Can the greatest concrete structure of the 20th century survive a nuclear detonation? To understand the stakes, we must first appreciate the sheer scale of the target. The Hoover Dam is not merely a wall. It is a gravity arch structure. This means it relies on two fundamental principles of physics to stay upright. First, gravity. It is simply too heavy to be pushed over. It contains nearly 2.5 million cubic meters of concrete. That is a mass of approximately 6.6 million tons. Second, the arch effect. The dam curves upstream, against the flow of the river. As the water presses against the face of the dam, that pressure is transferred laterally into the canyon walls. The harder the water pushes, the tighter the dam wedges itself into the surrounding rock. It is a brilliant design, engineered to withstand the compressive forces of the lake. But nuclear weapons do not play by the rules of civil engineering. They introduce forces that the designers in the 1930s could scarcely imagine. Imagine a tactical nuclear weapon, perhaps with a yield of 20 kilotons, roughly the size of the bomb dropped on Nagasaki, detonating just 500 meters from the dam's face. The first messenger of this catastrophe is not sound, nor pressure, but light. In less than a microsecond, the device releases a pulse of thermal radiation so intense that it heats the air to tens of millions of degrees Celsius. This is hotter than the core of the sun. The concrete on the face of the dam, which has baked in the sun for decades, is instantly subjected to a thermal shock beyond comprehension. The surface layer does not just burn. It sublimates. It turns instantly from a solid to a gas, expanding explosively outward. This phenomenon, known as the blow-off effect, creates a recoil force that sends a shockwave traveling backward into the solid concrete body of the dam. Simultaneously, the water of Lake Mead reacts. The thermal pulse boils the top layer of the reservoir instantly. A massive cloud of superheated steam erupts, obscuring the view. But the real danger is the shockwave moving through the air. This is a wall of compressed air, moving faster than the speed of sound. When this blast wave strikes the curved face of the dam, the pressure spikes to hundreds of thousands of pascals. Civil structures are typically designed to withstand wind loads of perhaps 2 or 3 kilopascals. A nuclear airburst at close range can generate overpressure in the range of 300 to 500 kilopascals or more. The dam is being slapped by a giant, invisible hand. However, concrete is a unique material. It has incredibly high compressive strength. You can stack tremendous weight on top of it, and it will not crumble. The Hoover Dam's concrete can withstand pressures of nearly 30 megapascals. The air blast alone, while terrifying, might not be enough to shatter the dam instantly. Because the dam is essentially a mountain of artificial stone. It is designed to be pushed. The danger comes from the negative phase of the blast wave. After the high-pressure front passes, a vacuum follows. The air rushes back in to fill the void. This creates suction. If the dam is pulled forward, away from the lake, it is entering a state of tension. Concrete is terrible at tension. It has almost no tensile strength. If the blast wave creates a whiplash effect, causing the crest of the dam to flex outward, massive cracks would propagate instantly through the structure. Most turn away. But here at Surphysia, we decode the math behind the chaos. Support the mission by subscribing now. Let us escalate the scenario. An airburst is one thing. But water is a cruel medium for explosions. Water is roughly 800 times denser than air, and is effectively incompressible. This means it does not absorb shock waves. It transmits them with terrifying efficiency. Suppose the device detonates underwater, submerged near the base of the dam. This is the nightmare scenario. When the reaction begins, a bubble of superheated gas forms, expanding at supersonic speeds. This bubble pulses, expanding and collapsing, hammering the surrounding water. This generates a hydraulic shockwave. A water hammer of apocalyptic proportions. In the air, energy dissipates over distance relatively quickly. In water, the shockwave hits the dam face with almost zero loss of energy. The pressure against the concrete spikes from the standard hydrostatic load to peak pressures of tens of megapascals in a fraction of a millisecond. The dam is designed to hold back the static weight of the lake. A slow, constant push. It is not designed for a dynamic, high-velocity punch. The concrete at the base, where the dam is 200 meters thick, is strong. But the interface between the dam and the canyon rock is the weak point. The shockwave could sever the dam from its foundation, shearing the rock anchors, and compromising the grout curtains that prevent water from seeping underneath. If the structural integrity fails, the result is not a slow leak. It is a catastrophic, cascading failure. Imagine the top arch crumbling first. As the concrete fractures, the pieces are not just falling. They are being hurled downstream by the pressure of the reservoir. 35 cubic kilometers of water, stored potential energy, is suddenly converted into kinetic energy. A wall of water, potentially hundreds of meters high, would roar down the Black Canyon. The sound would be deafening. A continuous, thundering roar, that would vibrate through the bedrock for hundreds of kilometers. The thermal effects on the surviving concrete would also be fascinatingly horrific. As the fireball rises, if it is a surface burst, it sucks up thousands of tons of water and pulverized rock, irradiating them, and creating a base surge. A rolling cloud of radioactive mist that coats everything. The rapid heating and cooling of the concrete would cause spalling, where layers of the dam flake off like the skin of an onion. The steel rebar buried deep within the structure would expand at a different rate than the surrounding concrete, creating internal stresses that rip the structure apart, from the inside out. We must also consider the ground shock. A nuclear explosion creates a seismic event. If the bomb detonates on the rock near the abutments, it sends a P wave. A primary pressure wave, traveling through the earth at 6 kilometers per second. This wave hits the dam from the side. The Hoover Dam is wedged into volcanic rock. Andesite and basalt. These are hard rocks, but they are brittle. The ground shock could shatter the canyon walls themselves. If the rock holding the dam fails, the dam fails. It does not matter how strong the concrete is, if the vise holding it suddenly opens. The arch loses its support. The millions of tons of concrete would simply slide forward, pushed by the lake, tumbling into the canyon below, like a falling giant. Even if the dam does not collapse immediately, the damage could be terminal. Microfissures would open throughout the monolith. The plumbing systems, the penstocks, the massive steel pipes that feed the generators, would likely rupture. The power plant at the base of the dam would be obliterated, either by the blast, the debris, or the immediate flooding. The electrical grid for 3 states would instantly register a massive drop in generation capacity. But let us look at the resilience. The Hoover Dam was built with a level of over-engineering that is rare in the modern world. The engineers treated the concrete cooling process with such care, that they embedded cooling pipes through the structure to ensure it cured evenly. Without that, it would have taken 125 years to cool, and would have cracked on its own. This monolithic density works in its favor. A smaller, tactical nuke might strip the surface, shatter the road on top, and destroy the intake towers. But the main mass of the dam might actually survive. It would stand there. Scorched. Radioactive. Perhaps leaking. But unbroken. It would take a strategic weapon, something in the megaton range, to truly vaporize or topple this mountain of geometry. In the end, the battle between the Hoover Dam and the atom, is a battle between two eras of physics. The dam represents classical mechanics. Mass gravity. Statics. The mastery of the macroscopic world. The bomb represents quantum mechanics. Binding energy. Fission. The mastery of the subatomic world. When they collide, the result is a chaotic interplay of heat, pressure, and fluid dynamics, that pushes the laws of material science to their absolute breaking point. The water flows. The concrete cracks. And the silence of the desert is replaced by the roar of history, being rewritten in a single blinding flash. The universe is full of chaos, but we are here to decode it. Stay connected to Surphysia.